Hi everyone, Vicky Verley here, Rock and Roll Prophetess. We're going to take a look at this full moon on July 1st with Venus conjunct Jupiter. You know, when I first opened when I look at, I don't run charts all the time, you know. I have my little book thing, you know, this thing. And normally I just look at this, you know, and it's like, oh, what a day. It's the full moon and Venus conjunct Jupiter and Sun trine Neptune and Venus trine Uranus, which is all true and what's all going on here. But when you open this chart, it's like you don't even see this. You know, yeah, the first thing you see is this square, this big square with the nodes. It's the cardinal cross. And, you know, and it's activating the Pluto-Uranus square. Somebody else mentioned that, but that is true. But another thing that just happened, I'm recording this on the 26th, and the Supreme Court ruled that gay marriage is legal everywhere, and I think that has so much to do with this. Because Venus and Jupiter, Venus is who you love, Jupiter is the justice system. Trine Uranus, where is that Uranus? Down here. And Uranus is freedom, you know, freedom to be who you want to be, express yourself any way you want to express yourself. But you know what's funny, when you do astrology, when I learned astrology, one of the things Uranus is considered, like if somebody has Uranus in the 7th house or 5th house, it's considered, they always would say, oh, they must be kinky, or they have some kind of, you know, deranged sexual appetite, and gay would have fallen under that too. So that was so, and you know, now it's like freedom to express yourself sexually any way you want, you know, and emotionally, which is, you know, you're not hurting anybody. I mean, that's I know there's going to be people out there that disagree with this. But this is I think this is the big thing here. You know, the Venus conjunct Jupiter, trining Uranus, freedom, human rights. It's all Aquarian energy, you know. And then it does tie into the old thing of the old sexuality. It's like it was looked down upon. Like if you looked at somebody's chart and they had Uranus in the 5th or 7th, you'd be like, ooh. Either they're closet gay or you don't want to mess with them because they want to do weird and kinky things. But maybe they'll find, you know, what's weird and kinky to one person may not be to another, you know. It takes all kinds in this world. So that's the big event that just happened here. And it is kind of in a loose grand trine with Pallas, but, you know, I'm not so sure about that one because it's like 6 degrees out. I usually try to stay in a 3-degree orb. But yeah, Venus-Jupiter in this day of the full moon in Capricorn for everybody. You know, this just happened with the Supreme Court thing. I just happened to turn on to see the weather this morning, and they broke in and announced it. But yeah, Venus-Jupiter is lucky, lucky, lucky for everyone. You know, they always say, astrologers will say that the Sun conjunct Jupiter is the luckiest day of the year. I mentioned this in all the tarot scopes last month. But Venus conjunct Jupiter should be right up there, boy. I mean, and this it's 1 degree out, but on my thing it's going to happen at 3:51 a.m. Eastern. So it's kind of on the 30th a little bit. You know, it's 3 in the morning or something Eastern, which probably is going to be on the 30th in some places. But anyways, talk about luck. And in your personal chart, you totally want to know where is that hitting. You know, I'm sure most of you watching this video would know what house it is. You know, you would know your rising sign, know what house that's hitting in. But lucky, Venus is love, Venus is money. Jupiter expands and makes better, brings luck. So this is good. And in Leo, so fun. I mean, much fun could be had despite all this big square stuff. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute. But much fun could be had. Much fun, much joy. You know, this is somebody with Venus in Leo or Jupiter in Leo, like in their natal chart. This is somebody who's a ball to hang around with. You know, they're blessed. You know, they know how to have a good time. Life of the party, that kind of thing. You know, and I mentioned too, I think last time I said, well, Venus conjunct Jupiter, there could be some kind of big jackpot hit, like the Powerball or something. And I looked at them, and neither one are big, Powerball or Mega Millions. I hadn't really checked it, but they're not big. They're well, they're a lot, but it's not like it's 100 million or some record-breaking jackpot. But another thing that somebody mentioned to me that goes to play slots all the time at a casino, which I rarely go to a casino, but I guess, you know, there's the progressive slots. And those I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those jackpots might have become, you know, big jackpot could be hit at the casino if that's what you're into, if you're into going and playing the slot machines. And that would be prevalent on the 30th and the 1st, I would say, this Venus conjunct Jupiter. But it's a great time to fall in love. You know, in the flat wheel, Leo rules the 5th house of love, romance, creativity, children. You know, it's a great thing for children too, you know, so great time for creativity too. I mean, this is some wonderful stuff. And Uranus, things could change out of the blue. And this gay thing is, you know, a sign of oppression could be lifted, you know. This is so prevalent too because it's Venus, you know, that's who you love. And Uranus, like I said, it used to point to so-called kinky sex, or I don't forget which, deranged sex or whatever. It was definitely looked down upon though, you know, and back when I was learning astrology. And now look how much it's changed, you know. And you know, so that's all here. And Uranus in Aries is for the individual's rights, which is true, but also, you know, Aries is like the child sometimes could be. And Leo is the 5th house of children. So there could be some tie into children and child stuff. You know, again, with the sexual freedom thing, there's that Saturn going back into Scorpio again. So we didn't quite tie up those loose ends. And Saturn, see, Saturn, people think, oh, Saturn is such a, ooh. And this full moon, it's prevalent because the full moon is at 9 degrees of Capricorn, which Saturn rules over. And that, you know, Capricorn is the government and the powers that be and structure and all that kind of stuff. And I always say, you know, it rules the bones in your body. But we need the bones in our body, for without them, we would just be a pile of flesh laying on the ground. You know, we have to have some structure in this world, this 3D reality that we're living in, right? Yeah, but Saturn, everybody, oh, Saturn, you know, it's always a negative thing. Oh, Saturn's going to hit my whatever, whatever. Ooh, let's be all afraid. I've had many blessings with Saturn. I mean, I do have a Capricorn sun, so maybe I'm acclimated to the Saturn energy to begin with. But I always feel like Saturn is karmic more than it is, you know, and people think, oh, karma, it's always going to be bad. I know it could be karma or dharma, but really, you know, it's like, it's for good or for ill. Saturn's going to set things right. You know, and Saturn is karmic. It could be like karmic retribution, but it can also be like karmic rewards, if there is such a thing. So I've had some beautiful, wonderful blessings happen on Saturn cycles. When Saturn's hit things in my chart, I've had beautiful things happen to me. So it's not always bad. But Saturn in Scorpio, talking about sexuality, last time we addressed how all these sex scandals were coming back out again, and now it's come out to be, you know, the freedom of sexuality. And it is squaring this, you know. It's 29 and 22. I mean, it's 7 degrees out, but there's a loose square here, and it's going to be in there. So Saturn square, and how I've always said too, you know, squares aren't always necessarily bad either. Squares make things happen. You know, squares are going to make things happen. So it definitely has made something happen. Let's look at this full moon. Speaking of Saturn, the full moon is in Capricorn. And it's about, you know, we could say this is almost 10. So it's about 4 degrees out. I would say it is an orb, conjunct Pluto. And then oppose the Sun and Mars. So there is some heavy duty, you know, this is some heavy duty stuff. And again, when I opened the chart, that's what I saw. This big, all this square here, this thing here. So, you know, Mars, Pluto, both very warlike, but Pluto also rules over Scorpio too. You know, so it's sexuality. Mars is sexuality as well. It's male energy, it's the warrior, it's fighting, it's wars. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of uproar over this Supreme Court decision. That may be, you know, what we're looking at on a national level in America here. But in your personal life, you know, people could be testy, you know. Well, you know, there could be a lot of really happening. People could be, you know, just a big party time. Well, it's also coming up. It's a couple days off of 4th of July in America too, which is a big party time, you know. So a lot of partying and fun going on too, but there could be also, things could get out of hand, you know, and as I talked about last time too, extremes never are good. And with Venus and Jupiter, it could totally be an extreme, you know. You could go way overboard, like getting drunk or partying or, you know, just going overboard. You know, it could get out of hand. Jupiter could, you know, you don't know when to quit with Jupiter and Venus together. And overindulgence on anything, not just partying. This could be food, all sorts of stuff. But, you know, food isn't going to, you're not going to wreck your car because you ate too much. Or you're not going to get in a fight over something stupid because you ate too much, you know. But if you drink too much, you know, you totally can. These kind of things are going to happen, can happen. So let's see, and it's square. The other thing, the other element in this Grand Cross is the nodes here. So yeah, that's you know, where we're going. You know, we're going towards Libra now, and over again, Libra is fair and equality for all. You know, it's not Libra's not. I can't believe how far we've come with discrimination on so many things. You know, just the fact that we have an African American president, and now gay marriage is legal. If only marijuana were legal in all the states. It's not legal where we don't even have medical where I live. So, you know, that's the next thing. But you know, that's not really a human rights issue. But you know, it's the breaking down of the old paradigm. You know, with Pluto in, you know, Capricorn. You know, the breaking down of the old and Uranus, personal freedom for the individual. And you know, if you're not hurting anybody, I just don't get it. But I don't want to get anybody's feathers ruffled. I'm not here to debate gay marriage, you know, or anything else. But I feel like you can love who you want to love. And what's bad about love? What's so awful about peace, love, and understanding, right? What's that song? Anyways, back to the nodes. In Libra, tolerance. Libras are tolerant. Libra's balance, harmony, love. It's ruled by Venus. And Venus is involved in this Jupiter thing here. Jupiter, I don't know if I mentioned that either, also rules the courts. You know, and so I'm not surprised some big thing happened in the courts in America. And, you know, I don't really follow world politics that much. And I know everybody that watches this is not in America. But, you know, there could be some big breakthroughs like that all over the place. It's not just tied to America. You know, so that, you know, if some of you are, you know, out overseas in other countries, there could be some big breakthrough. It's not over yet. I mean, the aspect's not exactly right for a few more days here. I'm recording this on the 26th, but it's actually on, you know, July 1st over here. But that's just, you know, shocking, but in a, you know, in a good way. I feel like we really have turned a corner, you know, and we really are moving into a new paradigm now, you know. Yeah, but anyways, back to this Libra node. So it's being peaceful, it's being tolerant of others, it's getting along, it's being in partnership together. It's finding balance. Libra is the scales, you know. So Pluto opposed Mars, you know, we could come to blows. We could be, you know, we could want to go to wars. I'm thinking too, you know, turning it around the other way. I was saying, oh, well, you know, let's be afraid because we might get overindulged and things could get out of hand. But look at it this way. If they're, you know, let's approach it from this angle first. Pluto opposed Mars, arguments, wars, not getting along. Venus conjunct Jupiter, maybe, you know, there could be, it could change. It could lessen the blow of this, or you know, ease this out a little bit, you know. But you know, Venus with this Leo stuff, Leos can be prideful, you know. It's not likely that anybody's going to back down with Jupiter and Leo. You know, it's more likely they're going to puff their chest up even more. You know, that's what I'm seeing, like these, like a bird, like a robin. You know, and Mars energy is a red robin's breast, and you'll see the robins in the spring, the males are always fighting and trying to establish territory, and they got their big red breasts sticking out, you know, and they are, you know, it's like chest butts or something, you know, like those wrestlers will do, or people partying will do that too. But anyways, it's I hate to use the word explosive, but it kind of is kind of an explosive energy. Hopefully cooler heads will prevail, you know, with the Libra energy. And South Node in Aries. So that would be like, well, in the past, it's always been about me, and what I want. And now, we've got to consider the other person. It's the first house and the seventh house in the flat wheel. It's me, myself, and I. And then it's the area of partnership. I always run this for just New York, Eastern time, you know, but this wheel is not going to apply to everybody. So I don't usually, you know, look at the fact that the Venus-Jupiter is in the seventh house, because it's just not going to apply to everybody. What is Mercury doing too? There was something. Mercury is opposed Pallas. I mean, some people could really have breakthroughs. You know, this Pluto-Mars stuff too. This is totally, in Capricorn and the Cap Moon, this is old paradigm. Our feelings. The moon are our feelings. So we feel how we feel. Our feelings not being able to be, our feelings being tainted by the powers that be. Or with Cancer and Capricorn, it could be like our feelings being tainted and our opinions being tainted by how we were brought up, or what we were told was right, or what was knocked, I'm going to knock some sense into you. It wasn't always what we were told was right. Some of us had to be, I don't want to say it had to be beat into us, but it may have been, it had to be that the power structures, and I'm going to rule over you, and I'm going to tell you what to do, and you're going to be like we are. That's very key here. I'm going to force you to be like we are, and think like we are, and feel like we do. And Uranus is saying, no way. I'm going to be free. This is changing. This is changing. This also is something that I'm getting about this, and this is something I've been working on, and it's been coming up a lot, and a lot of people, I watch everybody on YouTube. Well, I don't everybody, there's so many, but I watch a lot of you guys too. And I've been working on this myself, is the self-love thing, and that's been a kind of a thing that's really been coming up here lately. And this Pluto and the moon, because the moon is your inner, how you really feel about yourself. In your deepest spaces, what do you really feel about yourself? And Capricorn, are you really, are you hard on yourself still? And many times, if you're a hater, it does come from some kind of self-loathing. It really does, Just like those guys in Congress, back to the gay thing, who are hating on gays, but really they're passing notes under the stalls or whatever, They're closeted gay people, and outwardly they're saying, oh, whatever they're saying. They're haters, So this, for the individual, for all of us, this can be like really looking into these darker places and seeing, is this really your stuff, or is this your family stuff? Because Saturn's the family, the Capricorn is the family, the moon is the mother, Saturn's the father, Pluto's these old, it's very much in the ancestral karma. This stuff could be bubbling up and coming true. And if you are Mars, Mars, Pluto, if you are getting pissed at somebody, or there is this major blowout, look at why you're so angry. That's just what I want to say about this whole thing. Why, if you're angry, why, get to the root of it. Why are you so angry? Why does that push your button so much? Does it come from, well, obviously it's back to the mirror thing again, but is it from this, this feels so much like self-loathing. And the image that's coming to mind with this stuff here in the Saturn too is these priests that used to beat themselves with the cat o' nine tail things or whatever, and bloody their own backs and stuff, and that's, in these dark little cells and these little towers, that's what I'm seeing. And that's kind of what this energy is like. So, we live in a new day is dawning. Uranus with this stuff, this is a new day is dawning. And that stuff is falling by the wayside more and more. And I know in America we have so much more freedom than a lot of places too, but I mean, it really is happening. Oh, the other thing, what was a Neptune trine something that was happening? And we look back, oh, Sun trine Neptune. Yeah, so this thing is trining Neptune and sextiling, the full moon point is sextiling Neptune, exact, 9 degrees, and trining the Sun. It's always back to the Pisces energy. Pisces can convolute things, and especially if you bring in anger. And, Neptune, you might not even have the whole picture, too. That's another thing. If you are angry about something or somebody, chances are you don't have the whole picture. That could be a big key thing here. You may not have the whole picture. But if you want to take this, I think my battery's going to die. Okay, I have more to talk about, so I'm going to stop and restart. Something that came to me while I was getting the battery changed is that old saying, may you live in interesting times. And for nothing else, these are certainly interesting times, right? Yeah, but back to Neptune. This is key in this full moon because it's right in there. And what's on the other side? How would we have a... let's see, it's a sextile. So it's a grand trine. And there's nothing there. Is there anything at 9 Virgo? No, not really. If you have personal planets at 9 Scorpio or 9 Virgo, then this is going to be a really key thing for you. Yeah, so Neptune, it's always the fish that swim both ways. In the downward spiral, well, again, it brings up the partying thing. It could be abuse of drugs and alcohol and the overindulgence. But it's mental illness. See, Pisces and Neptune is not quite of this earth, So it's either, are you going to transcend reality through creativity and spirituality, or are you going to be escaping reality through drugs, alcohol, mental illness, you know, different things like that. Lies, deceit, you know, not quite the truth. It's not quite there's a lack of clarity. And you could go either way with that. You could swim in that water and come out, you know, with it being inspired, or you could swim in it and drown in it, you know. So there's that, but I think because it's tied into this stuff, I think that whatever we're getting in an uproar about, we don't have the whole story. That was the big thing I was getting about that. Like, I think you don't have the whole story. Or it could just be even a case of, you know, the old Native American expression that you must walk in another's moccasins. You know, you don't know what it's like to be oppressed, or you don't know what it's like to be... if this is a hater thing, if you're hating on somebody, you've got to walk a mile in their moccasins before you know really what it is. And because Neptune's so mystical, because I was just going to say, and chances are you have in a past life, but because Neptune's so mystical, that could be a tie-in as well. Or, you know, that's how reincarnation and karma really works. So, if you haven't already, you will be. You know, so it's not a good idea to hate anybody, because you will have to walk in their moccasins at some point on an esoteric level. But I don't want to go too far off into that direction just yet. I wanted to look at this Chiron too. It seems to be in opposition. Well, what do they got it? Oh, it's still opposing Lilith. Okay, I thought they had it tied into the nodes here. No, it's still with this Lilith opposition. Okay. Well, it's the healing of old wounds. And I'm feeling so strong that it's the healing of karmic wounds, of course. But it's the healing of just oppression. The lifting of oppression is so strong here. It just is. Freedom for all. You know, again, other places, other countries may have a lot further to go. I mean, we are out there, you know, as far as freedom goes. We're one of the most free countries, but a lot of places in Europe are much more free than America, you know. But, you know, it's coming along. And this darkness, this is some of these places, you know, like a lot of people will say about the Middle East, oh, well, just bomb it. Just bomb the whole thing and wipe it off the earth and we don't have to worry about it. Come on now, that's not cool. There's many good people living there. You know, there's many souls that are there that are just trying to survive and have nothing to do with any of this stuff, you know. And that's where this Libra comes in and everything. And, you know, there's a lot of suppression of sexuality too. That's why I looked at this and I was seeing, you know, that area of the world. I mean, maybe something is going to happen in that area of the world. I don't like to get into predicting these world politics too much, really. And I'm not judging anybody, you know. I'm not judging anybody, hopefully. I don't want to judge anybody. And, you know, I'm totally a liberal. So if you're not, you know, that's where I come from. So that's what it's, you know, that's my slant on things. But that's where this, again, with the Libra node, that's the slant of where we, as a human race, should be going at this time in, you know, our evolution here. The node is in Libra, coming out of this Aries, which is ruled by Mars, this warlike time, and moving into the more peaceful time. Okay, what else is going on here? Oppose this Venus-Jupiter. We've got Ceres conjunct this. I mean, opposing it. Oh, no, we don't. It's 6 degrees. What am I looking at? I don't know what I was looking at. Let me see. Why was I looking at this Ceres? Was this something happening here that I needed to look at? It's at 6 degrees Aquarius. Well, it's the node. It's a sextiling the south node and trining the north node. You know, Ceres is always the goddess of the grain and everything, and it's food and all that, and but it's also, you know, the home and the family and stuff like that too. It's nurturing. It's a nurturing asteroid, actually, I think it is. Something came to me and when I was trying to think of the word asteroid, and then it just flew right out of my head again. Boy, because of the node thing and Ceres. Oh, that whole Monsanto thing. You know, and I didn't really understand any of that. I hadn't really heard about it till a couple years ago, and I was looking into it. And we gotta, I don't know that GMOs are necessarily bad. We need to, biodiversity is the key to this whole thing, is from what I'm understanding. Because genetic modification of plants, farmers would do that for years. You know, we would do that by cross-pollinating this breed, you know, this species with that species, and creating a better species, you know. So I don't know that we should throw the whole technology of genetically modifying plants out. It's just a faster way of doing what farmers have done for, you know, forever, since farming began. You know, we crossed, but we just it took longer to do, developing new breeds. The point is we have to maintain biodiversity. Like the whole thing is we can't have just one breed of corn growing all over America, because if something came in, disease would wipe out the whole crop over the whole world. So I don't, maybe there's people out there that didn't understand. I really didn't, because it wasn't really gelling with me. I was like, well, why would genetically modifying be wrong? It's not genetically modifying, it's biodiversity. Because Ceres is the grain and the plants and all that. We need to, you know, maintain biodiversity. And of course, Monsanto shouldn't have a monopoly on all the seeds and the whole Roundup thing. That's, you know, I'm an organic gardener forever. I don't use any spray toxins of any sort forever, you know. But you know, that was coming in with the node too, and because that's affecting our food supply too. And it's the goddess of the grain, and it's our food supply and everything like that. So I think, in my opinion, we need to. It's not the GMO that's bad. It's the lack of biodiversity that's bad, or anybody having a monopoly on the seeds, that's bad. But I think GMO could be used, you know, in good ways. But we still have to just have the diversity. I don't know, that just popped into my head here. Also, this is Mars and stuff. This is something, you know, these are these inconjuncts or something. So there always has to be an adjustment made on these odd aspects. So it's like a trine is harmony, a square is friction, and these odd ones, there has to be an adjustment made. So there does have to be an adjustment made in our food supplies, the grain, our food supply, what we eat, how we cultivate our food. Because I'm really just seeing fields of wheat and stuff like that. Like I'm seeing big acres of farmlands around this kind of stuff. Okay, so that's that series came in. Anything else we want to take a look at before? Every time after I do these readings, I'm always like, oh, I totally missed that. I should have talked about that. I totally missed it. We've got Vesta in here too. Vesta in the South Node. And Vesta is also squaring this full moon point again. Well, again, that's Vesta, the home, the hearth. You know, the Vestal Virgins, all that. And Cancer is home and hearth also. And the Sun is moving into Cancer, and Mars is in Cancer. So, you know, Mars in Cancer, maybe you're just not up for a fight. And some of us, I should say us, you know, because I'm certainly not up for a fight. You know, I'm just had it. You know, some of you have just had it. You know, you might just, in Cancer, you might just want to crawl in your shell. It's like, okay, leave me alone. I just can't do this anymore. I'm not up for... And this stuff it just drains your energy. Fighting is it just drains your energy. Whether it's globally or in your personal lives or whatever. And with Uranus, if you're trying to infringe on somebody's personal freedoms, you know, why? If it's not hurting you, why? It's just, it's all about, I have power over you, and I'm going to oppress you, and I'm going to tell you how to live your life. And yeah, we need to have some rules in this, you know, again, back to the bones and the structure. I mean, you can't go killing people, or, you know, violence is not good. But things about who people love, or what kind of food we eat, or what kind of seeds we want to plant, or, you know, please, there's so many more things that need addressing that we could be directing our energy towards than trying to oppress or put somebody else down or tell them how to live their life. I mean, there's so many things that could be improved in our lives here and around the world. And that's what we should be joining. You know, what this does, you know, what this old paradigm does, it's that divide and conquer. It's the oldest thing in the book, the oldest trick in the book. You get people fighting over some other stuff, and meanwhile, then you can go sneak around and do what you want to do, you know. and feed them a line of bullshit. Just basically, that's what it is, you know. So don't be tricked into being divided and conquered, you know. Let's focus on the things that are really important and could change our lives for the better. The food we eat, that's important. You know? Nobody's going to live without good food to eat. You know, if we can't grow crops, or something happens to the crops, or something happens to the bees, you know, we're not going to be able to have food, and nobody's going to thrive then, you know. So back to that movie Thrive. So yeah, Libra, justice for all, happy, sad. Venus, Jupiter, you know, have fun. Well, you know, another thing is you could just laugh it off. I mean, Leos are prideful too, but sometimes, you know, they're pretty good at letting things roll off their back. They're not. Aries will jump up right away and want to, you know, get in your face sometimes, the negative side of Aries. But Leos have a lot of pride, but not necessarily. They don't always do that. They'll let a lot slide, or just laugh it off, or try to get you to join in the fun, rather than, you know, let somebody ruffle your feathers. A lot of times Leos, you know, they'll just, oh, come on, or start tickling you, or, you know, like diffuse the energy. Leos are good at that. Leos are good at diffusing, Leo energy, diffusing this kind of energy through laughter and fun, or, you know, somebody's got a frown, they can make, you know, crack a smile, you know, make them laugh. Laughter, that's key here. Because Leos are laughter. I always say, if you can tell a Leo, because they always have that great laugh. So there's an emphasis on joy and fun and laughter and creativity. I mean, there's other stuff going on for sure, and it may rear its ugly head, so to speak, but at the square stuff. But you know, this is the remedy. The remedy is laughter, fun. You know, eat, drink, and be merry. That's the key thing from this chart too. And real quick, I know it's a square, but it totally looks like a diamond. It totally, again, looks like it's spinning to me. And I swear I hear vibrations. These other lines, I know this is crazy, but you know, if you watch this show I get out there sometimes, and I'm definitely getting something here. It's like, there's like this low tone, this low, it's like this is spinning and these are going boom, boom. Like there's these tonal, this is like strings vibrating, and it's giving off this real low boom, boom, real low rumble. So the vibrations, and it's funny that I was saying it's a low tone, and you know, there's that whole thing about low vibrations and higher vibrations. I don't feel, though, when I was hearing that tone, I'm not really feeling like it's a matter of low vibration. It feels, I don't know, it feels calming. I don't know. There's like a calming element to it. Okay, I don't want to get too far out there, because after all, this is an astrology report. It's supposed to be. But I always tie in my psychic impressions. Okay, so yeah, if you want to get a hold of me, best thing to do is go to my home page on my channel, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there in the About section, and it takes you to all sorts of things, to get a reading or a mandala. Everything is on here. This is my order page, as my makeshift order page. Make a donation. I do appreciate any donations that come in through for all the free readings I put on the web, and or purchase some of my merchandise, a personalized astrology mandala of your chart, the universal mandalas. I have a deck out and a book on tarot. Also, be sure to check out some of my other channels. You know, I have a music channel, hence the rock and roll part of the Rock and Roll Prophetess here, VV Creative. And then, of course, my original YouTube channel, Vicky Verley, which is learning songs for kids. I have a ton of music and learning songs for kids on there. Thank you all so much for donating and liking and commenting and sharing on my videos. I really do appreciate it so much. And subscribing. Be sure to subscribe so you can be up to date when I post new videos. I won't constantly bug you or anything, because I don't like to be bombarded with a bunch of crap, so I won't do it to you. Remember that you are love and beauty incarnate, and I'll speak with you soon.